Jamahal Hill just dropped a response video to Ariel Helwani's response video, so I'm going to watch this for the very first time, and I'll give my thoughts at the end of this video. And apologies if I'm a little tired. It's early over here on the West Coast. Let's get into it.
What's going on, Sweet Dreams Nation? We back with another Reel Behind the Reels. Part 2, if you will. As many of y'all know, I made the video exposing Ariel Helwani yesterday. He made a response, and this is going to be me watching his response.
They were asking me a lot about Jamahal Hill, the former UFC light heavyweight champion, who has had some things to say about me on his YouTube channel and over the last few months. And I don't know where.
First of all, I'm the current UFC champion. The belt isn't gone anywhere just yet.
Okay, so just a minor thing here. Jamal saying he's still the champion in this video. ESPN article here from July 14th says Hill ruptures Achilles, will relinquish UFC title. But then I'm looking on the rankings here. I actually just noticed this right now as we were talking about this. It still has Jamahal Hill listed as a champion. So I don't know what's going on here. As far as that point of Ariel calling him the former champ, I think most people think that's the case, that the title is vacant. I could be wrong about this, but you know, again, I just assume that Jamahal had vacated his title. I know he says in this quote here, if I had my choice, would I like to give up the belt? No, I wouldn't. You got to be consistent. I understand it's the business. The show must go on, but I'm not exempt from that. So I don't know, but that's just like one point I wanted to just mention here, that I'm under the impression, I think a lot of other people, that Jamahal isn't the champion. And I thought that he did vacate his title, but again, I don't know why the rankings haven't been updated to reflect that. So not really sure about that point, but just wanted to add a little bit of context there with Jamal's response.
2, I've only addressed you on my YouTube channel. That was it. I haven't talked about you. I haven't watched any of your content whatsoever, because that's what you do when you don't like somebody.
Where we got off on the wrong foot, because the last text conversation that I had with Jamahal was actually a very nice and cordial one, but for whatever reason, there's been a bit of a heel turn as of late, and so I don't think.
Now, we're going to let the heel turn thing go because you're very good with the English language, so there's a bunch of other phrases you can use. I actually think that was kind of funny, you know. But our last text conversation was not cordial.
Uh-oh.
Again, you can't keep it real. You capping. You trying to make it seem like, oh, this is coming from out of nowhere, and you haven't done anything. Like, you haven't been taking shots at me for months. You've been the one taking shots this whole time, not me. This is a text message from me and Ariel Helwani. This is him texting me, asking me what I mean about this Twitter link on Twitter where him and Joe Rogan got into it, and Joe Rogan said that he puts words in people's mouth, and he said he didn't do it. And my question on the tweet was, what was our interview? So he's asking me, what was that? And I say, what do you think? I asked you first. Not really. The post in itself was a question. Then he goes back and shares an old text message saying where I said, I enjoy our exchanges. All right, cool. Completely irrelevant. Then I go to, yeah, I watched our video back, and I feel that you really did some hoe ass.
Oh.
Are you being serious? How was what you did not? So our last text conversation was not cordial and it was not nice. But he will try to say that to make it seem like he doesn't know where this is coming from. And it's coming from out of nowhere. And if you look on the data there, that's from February.
So Jamal's right here. Ariel did describe their last exchange as being very good. This doesn't look like a very good exchange. Also, kind of notice how Jamahal has the snake emoji on Ariel's contact information on his phone. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah. So far, what Jamahal is saying is 100% lining up here with what Ariel is not saying correctly, which is that they had a good, cordial conversation. I'm one of those people, and again, I know I got flack in the last video for saying this, but honestly, these two should just call each other. When you're having a heated discussion like this over text message, I tell this to anyone in general. I think text is something that really gets lost in translation. I think it's better to just call someone personally. That's what I would do. I've had this before. I've had many things in the industry with people, and sometimes it's just better to call someone and understand where they're coming from a little bit better. So I think this could have been avoided a little bit if they would have just called each other rather than texting back and forth. But we'll see what Jamahal has to say the rest of the way here.
I think that this is the platform and the moment to get into a whole battle, a whole 10-7 situation. And I think that despite the receipts and despite him getting a lot of things wrong, By the way, a guy who I reached out to his manager about just 2 weeks ago when he suffered his injury to wish him the best and also to introduce him to a YouTube guide to help him out with his channel. No problem. It's all good.
Yo, this is hilarious. If you truly felt that way or you didn't have these type of feelings towards me, I wouldn't be saying these things. I wouldn't be bringing these things up. And receipts are receipts. They're there for a reason, to show what it is and what happened. And secondly, you didn't reach out to my manager. I talked to my manager. You reached out to him. Don't get me wrong. You reached out to my manager, but you reached out to my manager for a friend who was working for the UFC, who's no longer with the UFC, who helps with YouTube. My manager, somebody who my manager already had this guy's contact information. You reached out, you hit him up, you didn't mention me at all. You were talking about that guy, and my name was not brought up until my manager brought me up. So for you to sit up and try to make it seem like you reached out to try to give me this helping hand and you're trying to look out for me, that's cap, bro. That's cap, and you know it. Anybody who knows me knows my manager. Y'all know how close me and my manager are. So I know these things.
Just quickly, got to mention, it would be good if there was some sort of proof of this conversation. I believe Jamal, by the way, but I'm just saying that, like, if he had like a text exchange with his manager saying like, what was this conversation about, it would probably help his case. But right now it's kind of he said type conversation here. But either way, again, I don't think Jamal would lie about something like that. Like, I think he's, again, he knows his manager better than anyone.
With love in my heart. And so what I want to say to Jamahal Hill, because a lot of you are asking me to respond to Jamahal Hill, this is what I want to say. Your thoughts on the way I think about you are very wrong. I'd like to extend an invitation to you to come in studio on my program and we can hash it out. We can squash the beef. I would love that opportunity. And in case you think that I'm trying to get you to my studio as some sort of, ruse or trap, absolutely not. I know you just had surgery. I know you just got injured. If you'd like to come on via Zoom, I would love to have you on. And in case you think that I am trying to get views, I don't cut up the videos. I'm not making 20-minute monologues about you and all that stuff. But in case you think I'm trying to get views, clickbait, all that stuff, I'll tell you what, if you do come on the show, I will give you the full entire interview and you can post it on your YouTube channel. You can cut it up. You can post the entire thing. You can have all the views that you...
Something I missed in this last video, like Jamal never accused Ariel, like granted they never talked about Jamal going on the show, but Jamal never insinuated that Ariel like took anything out of context or that he's using it for clickbait. So Ariel kind of mentioning this is kind of irrelevant. Like I don't think Jamal ever even suggested that. I'm curious to hear what Jamal has to say here, but yeah, like that's not something he ever implied in that last video. So I don't know why Ariel's bringing that up. He could have just left it as, hey, I'll give you the interview and you can do what you want with it so people can see there's nothing edited. It's as simple as that. But he's going on about like, don't worry, I'm not going to clickbait it and all this stuff. Like Jamal never insinuated that. So that was just kind of weird. Forgot to mention that in the last video. I'll mention it here though.
You want, and I'll only promote that link. I won't even promote my own. And so the invitation is extended. I would love to have you on to talk it out. Just like I called you and you sent me to voicemail when all this initially popped up. I like to deal with things behind the scenes. I like to figure things out. Of course, I'm going to talk about you. You're one of the biggest stars. I'm going to ask Yuri Prochaska questions about you, but I love to figure this out.
You like to invite me on to have a discussion and things like that. You could have done that already months ago. I wouldn't have accepted. To be honest with you, I have no interest in coming on your show. I've been on your show. I've been on your show multiple times before leading up into it. Gave you a really great sports soundbite for your show. And I see the respect I got for that. So now, if you truly want to talk and have a conversation, you can come on my show. You come right here, Champ Chat Podcast, first ever guest. You come on and we can talk. Now, to address some of the things you said, because even in 2 minutes, you can...
Hold on, we'll get to what he's going to talk about here. Okay, so Jamal saying that he wants Ariel to come on. I understand it because, from a content perspective, I can understand this as well. Well, I also understand it because Jamal's upset about this. And by the way, something I didn't mention in the other video, and I thought was kind of common sense, but I guess people wanted me to explain it. Like, this feud goes beyond the Yuri interview. There was something with Ariel and Jamal on one of the interviews they did about Jamal's comments about Dana White, and it really irked Jamal. And I even spoke to Jamal about this in my my interview. I assume people had saw that clip on my channel, but in case you didn't, this goes back even further. And honestly, what Ariel should have done is once he saw what was going on in the media with Jamal being upset with how that interview with the Dana White thing went, Ariel should have got him on again and tried to, mend fences there, because I just feel like it was just building up and up and up. And then the Yuri interview was, again, just like putting gasoline on the fire. So I understand Jamal's perspective here. And I also think, him wanting Ariel on his show, we'll see if Ariel does it. I don't know if he will. It's not like Ariel can gain anything from this by going on his show. Jamal's going to get all the ad revenue with Ariel going on. You know what I mean? From a content perspective, I can understand that, where Jamal thinks if he goes on his show, it's just going to make Ariel more money and all these other things, right? Whereas if Ariel comes on his show, Jamal kind of controls the environment. So I understand it, because again, Jamal's upset. And like I said in that other video, I think he has a reason to be upset with the way Ariel described that narrative with Yuri Prohaska and Jamal as being like, Jamal being disrespectful, which it wasn't. But anyways, let's hear what he has to say here.
Still see he can't help but throw shots or take shade. I'm not cutting up any monologue and things like that.
Yeah.
Because of the video of me calling him out, which is hilarious. The hand jet. Look at the things he does. Look, by the hand. But I'll let you keep look, he's zesty as hell. I'm not stupid, bro. Everybody here, everybody watching this can see the undertones in the things that he's saying. All right. You're trying to invite me on to come on your show, trying to make it seem like, I'm a peacemaker and all this and that. So if I don't accept, it makes it seem like, I just have a gripe against you and everything. Everything you just said was calculatedly placed and set up in a certain way. And in fact, with the last statement of you called me and I didn't answer, I have yet another receipt where on that same day, he called me. You're right. I sent you the voicemail. If you look at the bottom, I told him I'm with my kids. I'm a dad. I was with my children. That wasn't the time to have that conversation. I dealt with my kids, and then I called him back, and he did not answer the phone.
Oh.
Okay? So for you to make it seem like you always trying to take the high ground, trying to make it do the right thing and things like that, that's not always the case. We can come here. You can come in studio. Or I can connect you via Zoom and we can talk about it. But as far as me coming over to put to your platform and to have a conversation with you in your platform, it's not going to happen, bro. You can come here. You can accept my invitation to come have a talk with me on my end, or you can just keep my name out your mouth, which clearly, like you said, you're not going to do. So the move is on you. I'm always real. I'm always down to sit down and hash things out and talk about it. But this whole you skipping over accountability, you're not going to skip over the things you've done. You're not going to skip over the things you said. You need to own up to them, and then we can move forward and move past things. And that's where I'm at with that. So.
Okay, there we go. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Ariel will go on Jamal Hill's show? Who do you sort of side with here in this whole scenario? Again, Jamal showing the text messages shows like things were not very cordial, between the two. And also there's that whole talk of, Ariel talking to Jamal's manager, Brian Butler. Apparently, according to Jamal, Ariel was not asking about helping his YouTube channel, it was about something else. So what do you think of this latest video? And what do you think is going to come of this? Because I don't know if Ariel's going to go on a show, and I don't know if they're going to resolve this. Again, I said this in the last video as well. I think it is good if they can come to terms here and just talk about this and resolve this, because the longer this goes on, this is going to turn into a really long feud. And I've seen this time and time again in this industry, especially, where people just continue to go at each other back and forth from different areas. It would be better if they could come together and get it done. So hopefully Ariel comes on. We'll see what happens. But yeah, either way, we're getting somewhere in terms of this feud. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.